Good evening, good evening, everyone. Good evening, my viewers, and good evening, my learners. It is a wonderful evening indeed, and I would like us to revise a grade 9 integrated science paper 1 here with me. So, this is a sample of a paper of integrated science paper 1. Remember, paper 1 has two sections. Section A has 30 questions to mean 30 marks, and section B has 40 marks. So today, permit me to take you through the section A. We are revising Compass 004 2026 School-Based Assessment, Kenya Junior School Education Assessment, Integrated Science Paper 1. Now you will work with me in this journey. So let's begin by reading question 1 together. Then once we are done with question 1, we'll move to the next question. So this is question 1. It says, the nucleus of an atom contains two subatomic particles. The nucleus of an atom contains two subatomic particles. Which of the following pairs is found in the nucleus? Which of the following pairs is found in the nucleus? Now, my good learners, remember when we were talking about the atomic structures, we said that an atom is made up of three subatomic particles. And these three subatomic particles are electrons, protons, and neutrons. And protons and neutrons are found inside the nucleus. Then electrons occupy the space outside the nucleus. Now the question is very clear here. The nucleus of an atom contains two subatomic particles. Which of the following pairs is found in the nucleus? Let's begin with option A. I want to give you a secret here. In an exam case where you are not sure with the correct answer, you can use elimination method to come up with the correct answer. Now let's begin with the first one. Does protons and electrons found in the nucleus? No, electrons are not found in the nucleus. Therefore, option A is very wrong. Then option B. Does protons and neutrons found in the nucleus? The answer is yes. Protons and neutrons are found in the nucleus of an atom. Now the answer for this case is B. Now, but let's look at option C, electrons and electrolytes. Electrolytes don't have subatomic particles called electrolytes. Protons and nucleons, we don't have subatomic particle called nucleons. What we have is neutrons. So the answer is protons and neutrons. Now let's move to question 2. Let's move to question 2. So here is question 2. The diagram below shows a setup used by grade 9 learners to investigate a certain physical property of metals. To investigate a certain physical properties of metals. Use it to answer question 2 and 3. Now, when we are talking about the physical properties of metals, we are talking about the electric conductivity, we are talking about thermal conductivity or heat conductivity, we are talking about malleability, the ability of a metal to be hammered into tiny sheets. Then we are also talking about ductility, the ability of a metal to be drawn into wire. Then which property we have talked about malleability, we have talked about ductility, then we have sonorous. Sonorous, it is also a physical properties of metals. And what do we mean by sonorous? Ability of a metal to produce a striking sound when struck, or a sharp sound when struck. Then we have the last property, lustrous, the shininess nature of metals. Now, how many properties of metals do we have? The physical properties, electrical conductivities. Metals are good conductors of electricity. Thermal conductivities or heat conductivities. All metals are good conductors of heat. Malleability, the ability of metals to be hammered into tiny sheets. Ductility, the ability of metals to be drawn into wires. Then we have lustrous, ability, the shininess nature of metals. Then we have sonorous, ability of metals to produce a unique sound when struck. Then the last one, we have durability. Metals last for a long period of time. Now, to get back to our question here, the diagram below shows a setup used by grade 9 learners to investigate a certain physical property of metals. Use it to answer question 2 and 3. So we assume that this is a metal. Then balls of candles, of course, you know a candle, when it is being heated, it melts. So these are the source of heat. Then these are candles pinned on. This is a metal rod. Now use it to answer question 2 and 3. Now question 2. Which one of the following is the correct observation made from the above experiment? Which one of the following is the correct observation made from the above experiment? Now let's begin with option A. Ball C was the third to melt. To me, the answer is no. Ball C was the second to melt, because since this is the source of heat, so heat, the first part of this metal to receive heat, it will be this end. Then heat will begin to travel towards this end, right? Heat will begin to travel towards this end. Now, the first candle to receive heat will be D, then C, then B, then the last one will be A. So the first candle to melt will be this one. Then the second candle to melt will be this one. Then the third candle to melt will be this one. Then the last candle to melt will be A. Now, ball C was the third to melt? No, ball C was the second to melt. Ball D was the first to melt? Yes, because the metal will conduct electricity from this point as towards this point. So the candle D will receive heat first than C, B, and A. So the answer is B. Ball D was the first to melt. Ball B was the first to melt. Now let's look at question 3 on top here. Question 3 is here. Which property of metals were they investigating? Which property of metals were they investigating? Let's begin with option D, malleability. Malleability is the ability of metals to be hammered into tiny sheets. Then here we are not hammering, right? Then the ductility is the ability of metals to be drawn into wires. Here the metals are not being drawn into wires. Then electrical conductivity, no. Here we are not testing electric conductivity. No, we therefore remain with option A, thermal conductivity. Thermal conductivity is the same as heat conductivity, right? Remember here we have the source of heat and this is a metal rod. So what is being tested here is the ability of these metal to conduct heat, what we call thermal conductivity. Now the answer is A. Let's move to question 4. Which of the following element is not a member of noble gas family? Which of the following elements is not a member of noble gas family? Noble gas family, these are elements that ends with 8 electrons in their outermost energy level. That ends with 8 or 2 electrons in the, let me just say 8 electrons in the outermost energy level. The noble gases, let me just say this to clarify. Noble gases, these are elements that their outermost energy level is full. The outermost energy levels of noble gas elements is always full. The outer ring has the maximum number of electrons. Let me repeat. Noble gases, all noble gases, when you look at their outermost energy level, is always full. What do we mean by full? It contains the maximum number of electrons. Now let's begin with the first one. Nitrogen, it is atomic number 7. So the first energy level will take 2, then remaining 7. So the second energy level is not full. The outermost energy level is full. Argon, it is atomic number 18. So 2, when you write electron configuration, 2, 8, 8. So the outermost energy level is full with 8 electrons. Helium is atomic number 2. So it only has 1 ring, which is full. The neon, the outermost energy level is full. Now, which of the following element is not a member of a noble gas family? It is nitrogen. It is nitrogen. So the answer is nitrogen. Let's move to question 5. Grade 9 learners were asked to write. Grade 9 learners were asked to write the chemical symbol of various elements. They wrote the following. Kjsea, nitrogen, she wrote capital N. Then Mercy, sodium, she wrote capital N, small a. Then Jacqueline, calcium, she wrote capital K. Then Andrea, magnesium, at capital A, small g. Whose answer was incorrect? Whose answer was incorrect? Let's begin with Kjsea. Nitrogen, very correct. Sodium, very correct. Calcium, incorrect. What's the chemical symbol of calcium? Capital C, small a. Magnesium, very correct. Now, the one who gave the incorrect answer is Jacqueline. Jacqueline. Calcium is supposed to be Ca. Now for question 5, the answer is C. Jacqueline. Jacqueline. And let's move to question 6. Question 6 is here. This is question 6. Question 6. Grade 8 learners were discussing sources of energy. Which one of the following is not a renewable source of energy? Which one of the following is not a renewable source of energy? Just to let you know, we have 2 types of sources of energy. We have renewable sources of energy, then we have non-renewable sources of energy. When we talk about renewable sources of energy, we are talking about those sources of energy that cannot be exhausted. Right? They cannot be exhausted and they can be renewed. These sources of energy, they cannot be exhausted and they can be renewed. When we talk about non-renewable sources of energy, these are forms of energy that can be exhausted. For example, in a dry cell is a source of energy. Once the chemicals in the dry cell are exhausted, they cannot be replaced. Right? Now, which one of the following is not a renewable source of energy? Solar, that's a source of energy from the sun, renewable, it cannot get exhausted. Wind, it cannot get exhausted. Hydroelectric power, this is a source of energy we are getting from the fast moving water, it cannot get exhausted. Petroleum, it can get exhausted. Now, the answer is petroleum, which on the floor is not a renewable source of energy. Petroleum is non-renewable. Good. Before moving to question 7, allow me to read question 9 because this is how my screen is displaying these questions. All the following materials all the following materials all the following materials resist rusting except all the following materials resist rusting except all the following materials resist rusting except. What do we mean by rusting? Rusting happens in those items that are made up of iron. And rusting happens when iron is exposed to moisture and air. Right? So rusting in a simple term is just a color or a brown coating that happens on ionic items. And it's because of iron combining with moisture and air to form rust. Do we remember the chemical name for rusting is hydrated iron 3 oxide? Now, having known these, let's get back to our question. All the following materials resist rusting except aluminium resists rusting, silicon resists rusting, stone resists rusting. The materials that do not resist rusting is iron screws, because it is made up of iron. Are we together? And what is rusting? Rusting is hydrated iron 3 oxide. So materials that cannot resist rusting among these 4 is iron screws. Let's move to the next question, question 7. The diagram below shows a laboratory apparatus used for heating. The name of this laboratory apparatus is the Bunsen burner. The Bunsen burner. The Bunsen burner. Which of the following explain what happens when the part labeled A is open? The part labeled A is air hole. Good. Now what happens when the part labeled A is open? The flame goes off? No. In fact, when the air holes are open, we get a non-luminous flame, a blue flame which is hot. Right? There is incomplete combustion? No. In fact, there's a complete combustion. Complete combustion means all the gases are burning up, right? When the air hole is open, air enters and mixes with laboratory gas at the jet. So these burns are on top of the chimney. So there's a complete combustion of the laboratory gas. Then the They produce flame. The produced flame is not very hot. No, in fact, the produced flame is hot because when the air holes are open, an luminous flame is produced, which is hot. Now, option D, C, and B are wrong. Now, option A is very correct. The correct answer, there is complete combustion. Now, the answer is A. Let's get to the next question here. We have question 10. A student explains to, not a student, I mean, a dentist explains to a student that human beings have different types of teeth for different functions, such as cutting, tearing, grinding food. Which type of teeth are specialized for cutting? Which type of teeth are specialized for cutting? Canines are specialized for tearing flesh. Premolars are specialized for chewing and grinding food. Incisors are specialized for cutting. Molars are specialized for chewing, grinding, and crushing food. Therefore, the answer is incisor, which are specialized for cutting. Very good. Now let's move to question 11. Question 11, then question 8. Which method of preventing rusting involves coating iron objects? Which method of preventing rusting involves coating iron objects with a thin layer of chromium or tin using electricity? Underline the word using electricity. Using electricity. Which method of preventing rusting involves coating iron objects with a thin layer of chromium or tin using electricity? We have, let's begin with option D, sacrificial protection. No. Galvanizing, this is coating iron with zinc. Plastic coating, this is coating iron with plastic. Electroplanting, this is the correct answer. This is where we are coating iron objects with a thin layer of chromium. A thin layer of chromium or tin using electricity. So the answer is electroplanting. Having said this, allow me to discuss the ways of preventing rusting. The first one is electroplanting. The second one is painting. We can also practice a plastic coating. Galvanizing, that's a way of preventing rusting. Sacrificial protection, a way of preventing rusting. And also alloying, combining an iron with another metal can also prevent rusting. That's good. Let's move to question 8. Which of the following items is not typically made from copper? Is not typically made from copper. So here we have copper wires. So of course they are made up of copper. Then coins, of course, are made up of copper. This is water pipes. They are made up of copper. Then windows, they are mostly made up of aluminium. So the answer is D. The answer is D. The answer is D. Now, the next question. Elements like boron and silicon have properties of both metals and non-metals. They are called elements like boron and silicon, which have properties of both metals and non-metals. They are called alloys. No. Malleable. No. Magnetic. No. They are called metalloids. They are called metalloids. So let us continue with question 13. Most metals exist in a dash state at room temperature. Most metals exist in a dash state at room temperature. Most metals exist in a solid state at a room temperature, aqueous at room temperature, liquid at room temperature, gas at room temperature. The answer is A. Most metals exist in a solid state at room temperature. In a simple term, most metals are solid at room temperature, except mercury, which is a liquid at room temperature. So the answer is A. Most metals exist in a solid state at room temperature. That's good. Let's move to the next question. Question 14. Question 14. The movement of water molecules from hypotonic solution to hypertonic solution across a semi-permeable membrane is? Very nice question. The movement of water molecules from a hypotonic solution to a hypertonic solution across semi-permeable membrane is diffusion? No. Crenation? No. Bonding? No. The answer is osmosis. Why do we say osmosis? Osmosis involves the movement of water molecules. So whenever you see a question that involves the movement of water molecules, just know that is osmosis. And that question, the movement of water molecules is across a semi-permeable membrane, right? How do we define osmosis? The movement of water molecules from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration across or through a semi-permeable membrane. Now, hypotonic solution is a solution that has more water molecules, right? Hypertonic solution is a solution that has less water molecules and more solute molecules. Therefore, the process is osmosis. Question 18. While walking through a farm in Kitale, Alan observed the leaf below. This is likely to be a leaf of a maize leaf. Based on this observation, the leaf is likely to belong to, of course, maize. Why do we say maize? This is a monocotyledonous leaf. A monocotyledonous leaf, somehow it has parallel veins. This we did in when we were talking about nutrition in plants. Based on this observation, the leaf is likely to belong to a maize plant. So the answer is maize plant. Maize plant. Question 18. The diagram below represents an apparatus. Identify the apparatus above. It's very simple, very simple. What's the name of this apparatus? An electron microscope? No, it's a light microscope. So the answer is B, light microscope. In the male reproductive system, that's question 19. In the male reproductive system, in which part is sperm produced? In which part is sperm produced? The sperm is produced in testes. Are we together? The sperm is produced in testes. So the answer is D. Now let us look at the function of other parts. The sperm ducts carries the sperm from the testes to urethra. That's the function of sperm duct. Epididymis stores sperm. Prostate glands releases fluids that nourishes the sperm. Now for this, the answer is D. Testis produces sperm. I want us to do section A, then probably if we get time, we will look at section B. Let's talk about question 16. Alan observed that a potted plant kept in dark cupboard turned yellow, while a similar plant in the open remained green. This is because the plant in the open was able to carry out a specific biological process. Name this process. Name this. Now question 16. Let me repeat. Alan observed that a potted plant kept in a dark cupboard turned yellow, while a similar plant in the open remained green. This is because the plant in the open was able to carry out a specific biological process. Name this process. Now, the plant that was kept in the darkness, it did not have light to carry out a certain biological process. But the one that remained, the one that was in an open place where there is light, it was able to carry out a certain process. Now, what is this process? The process is called photosynthesis. How do we define photosynthesis? A process by which green plants makes their own food by use of carbon dioxide and water. Now the answer is photosynthesis. Question 20. After successful union, underline the word union. After a successful union of a male and a female gamete in humans, the resulting zygote eventually moved to the uterus for development. However, the actual process of fertilization takes place in which part of the female reproductive system does fertilization takes place? Fertilization takes place in the oviduct. The other name for oviduct is fallopian tube, right? So the answer is C. But let me talk about the other options. What's the function of uterus? This is where implantation takes place. This is where the development of the zygote happens. What's the function of ovary? The function of ovary releases mature ova. Then what's the function of cervix? Connects the uterus and ovary. But now the answer is C. Good. Let's move to question 17 and 21. During a laboratory practical, a grade 8 learner compared a slice of an onion, a plant cell, and a chicken cell, an animal cell, under a microscope. So we have a plant cell, onion, and a chicken cell, animal cell, under a microscope. Which of the following features would be found only in the plant cell? Which of the following features will be found only in a plant cell? Let's begin with the cell membrane. The cell membrane is there both in a plant cell and animal cell. The cytoplasm is there both in a animal cell and a plant cell. But in an animal cell, it is there. The nucleus are present both in a plant cell and animal cell. Good. Now, large central vacuole. A large vacuole is present only in a plant cell, but not in an animal cell. In an animal cell, it might be absent, or if present, it is in a small size. So the answer is A. Which of the following features will be found only in a plant cell? A. Large central vacuole. Question 21. Residents of a certain town noticed that their residents of a certain town noticed that their electric kettles developed a gray crust, a scale, over time, and their soap did not lather easily. Which of the following is not an advantage of using this type of water? Is not an advantage of using this type of water. Now, which type of water does not lather easily with soap? Of course, this is hard water. Which type of water forms scales? It is hard water. So we already know that the type of water that forms scales and that does not lather easily with soap is hard water. Now, which of the following is not advantage of using this type of water? In short, which one of the following is not advantage of hard water? Advantage of hard water. It provides calcium for healthy teeth and bones. Yes, that is advantage. It helps poultry produce strong eggshells. That's advantage. It forms protective layer inside lead pipes to prevent poisoning. That is an advantage. It leads to mineral deposit in plumbing and boilers. No, this is disadvantage. Why do we say that this is disadvantage? Because when it forms deposit in plumbing and boilers, it reduces the ability of boilers to conduct heat effectively. Remember, boilers are used for heating purposes, so they must be a good conductors of heat. Now, the deposit of mineral in boilers reduces the ability of these boilers to conduct heat effectively. Right. Let's move to question 22. In a laboratory, a learner is told that all basic quantities. In a laboratory, a learner is told that all basic quantities such as length, mass, must be recorded using standard units. All basic quantities must be recorded using standard units. Recognized worldwide. Recognized worldwide. What does the abbreviation SI stand for? SI stand for International System of Units. So let's begin with the first one. Systeme internal? No. Systeme international? The answer is B. Systeme international. The answer is B. Now question 26. Which one of the following is not true about acids? Acids, these are substances with a sour taste. Acids, these are substances with a pH below 7. Acids, these are substances that turns a blue litmus paper red. Acids, these are substances that reacts with base to form salt and water. Now, which one of the following is not true about acids? They turn blue litmus paper red, that is true. They react with the base to form salt and water, that is true. They have a sour taste, that is true. Now, which one is not true? They feel slippery when touched. This is the property of a base. So the answer is B. The answer is B. The answer is B. Question 23. In science, some quantities are obtained by multiplying or dividing basic quantities. Some quantities are obtained by multiplying or dividing basic quantities. Which of the following is a derived quantity? So we have here 4 quantities. Then you are being asked which one is a derived quantity. Amount of substance, this is a basic quantity. Mass, a basic quantity. Electric current, a basic quantity. Area, a derived quantity. We get derived quantity from basic quantities. Right. Now the answer is A. Area is a derived quantity. Now question 27. A learner is using a magnet to pick up iron nails scattered on the floor. Iron nails scattered on the floor. After some time, they noticed that the magnet only attracts certain materials. They realized that a magnet only attracts certain materials. Which property of magnets explain this behavior? Magnets attracts all materials? No. Magnets attracts only magnetic materials. The answer is B. Are we together? Magnet attracts only magnetic materials, leaving behind non-magnetic materials. What are these magnetic materials? These are materials that can be attracted by a magnet. So the answer is B. The answer is B. Now, question 24. During a healthy education talk, a school nurse emphasized the importance of oral hygiene. What is the primary role of brushing teeth regularly? What is the primary role of brushing teeth regularly? The primary role of brushing teeth regularly. To strengthen the jawbone, to whiten the teeth for appearance, to improve overall health, to prevent cavities and gum diseases. The answer is A. The reason why we are brushing our teeth regularly is to prevent cavities and gum diseases. To prevent cavities and gum diseases. The answer is A. A wind turbine is used to generate electricity in a windy area. What is the main advantage of this source of energy? Now, let me ask you a question. Initially, we have looked at renewable and non-renewable sources of energy. Now, is a wind turbine a renewable or a non-renewable source of energy? A wind turbine is a renewable source of energy. Now, what is the main advantage of this energy? What is the main advantage of using a wind turbine to generate electricity? It causes pollution? No. It does not run out quickly? It can also be answer, but we need the correct answer. It is very heavy? No. It is naturally renewable. Very good. The answer is C. It is naturally renewable. It is naturally. You don't have to renew it artificially. It's being renewed naturally by wind. Question 29. A student switches on a torch at night to find a book. Which energy transformation takes place in the torch? So let us say the torch is using dry cells. Which type of energy is contained in the dry cells? Chemical energy. Then this chemical energy is converted to electrical energy, right? Then this electrical energy is converted to light energy. Are we together? So the energy transformation is chemical energy, electrical energy, and light energy. Are we together? Chemical energy, electrical energy, then light energy. Then light energy. Now the answer is B. Let's move to question 25. Most forms of energy on Earth, including food and fossil fuels, can be traced back to one primary origin. What is the main source of energy for the Earth? The main source of energy for the Earth is the sun. The main source of energy for the Earth is the sun. The main source of energy for the Earth is the sun. Then the last question, section A. Remember I said that when we get time, we'll talk about section B. Now, a diver notices that it becomes harder to breathe as they go deeper into a lake. What causes this change? So this is somebody who is diving deeper into the lake. Then he realizes that it becomes harder to breathe as they go deeper into a lake. What causes this change? Temperature increases with depth? No. Water becomes less denser? No. Gravity decreases underwater? The answer is B. Pressure in liquid increases with depth. Pressure in liquid increases with depth. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Feel free to comment. Feel free to ask any question. And also, just to say this, consider subscribing, sharing, liking. Thank you. Let the God of heaven bless you.